stream. You're live.
Okay.
Let's try this again.
So now we are back live.
Okay.
Currently.
Maybe. We hope.
Well, it says we're live. So I assume we're live somewhere.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go here.
So I'm just going to assume we're live and talk like we're live because otherwise that's weird.
Your channel.
Live.
Okay. Yeah, it's doing a thing.
There we go. Anyway, you can like send me that link or just post that link on the video. Oh, yay. Hey, Jeremy. Hey, Epic. Oh my God, why did it freeze? Okay, it's back. No, why is it delayed?
Don't worry about that. That's
okay.
Like up there.
Okay,
so
sorry.
I don't know why that's doing it.
All right,
it's doing,
so we are back. We're just going to post. Yeah, unfortunately, it was just completely frozen.
The other one.
The other one was just like
it just hard crashed. I think we're struggling with both a lackluster machine in the garage as well as a subpar bandwidth out there. So we figured it was worth a try. We got real close with it, but
so we are working on. Can you mute that? Because otherwise it's going to pick it up through here. You've got no, not there. You need to just mute your. There you no. Yeah.
No, we need that on.
Just turn your desktop. Yeah.
This off.
I swear we're good at this. You can also just turn the volume down on your computer.
Yeah,
like legit. Yeah. There we go.
Zero that out. Thank you. Okay.
Hey Ty, yeah, sorry guys. We appreciate your patience. I have no idea what was going on, but yeah, the computer out in the garage is subpar, and
well, it's also running here. I'll give you the setup, and this will explain it to you. Curly, we have an Ethernet, wired Ethernet connection that goes from, or I guess, I'm sorry, Wi-Fi that gets thrown from where we are right now down to our basement where it gets picked up by a Wi-Fi extender that has a Ethernet cord plugged into it that goes out to the garage.
So we actually have good bandwidth, just not out there. So we need to fix that. But we are back, so let's quit talking about this and actually just get back to what we were doing. The only thing I was saying is if you post a link to this video on the replay of that, then more people can find us.
Okay, so I'm going to go here. Okay.
Yeah, I know, Epic. It's stupid. Do you have a super delay on? I wonder if you have a delay on. It's okay. We're just gonna.
Oh, this is how it came out of the box. Streamlabs. I literally just set it up.
Well, you should have actually let me do something with it.
Well, I did.
Okay.
Yeah. So where were we?
Okay. I know you want to hear what's going on with the black car, but you're gonna have to wait on that.
We have NSXs in the background now, at least, instead of other cars.
Yeah.
So welcome back to the channel. I'm once again Richard.
And I'm still Liz, and this is still Lap of the World. Now inside the house, and not in the garage.
Live stream from the office, the editing suite.
So forgive any yelling or barking. Yeah,
and angry corgis in the hallway. So on our docket for today, we were going to talk about use this as an NSXPO wrap-up of sorts, since we aren't going to do, in lieu of doing a video on that. Yeah. And then we're also going to we'll have some updates on the black car, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about what's next on the channel, as well as answering any of your all's kind of questions as we move along. So. And
I will say, Epic, that is our plan. We actually do already have a Twitch stream or a Twitch channel, and we've done one thing on there. That's when we tested it in the garage before, but that's been a couple years now, or a year now.
And we're trying.
I think we have 2 followers.
This time we were trying to push a lot more resolution through the same small bandwidth pipe. So
But yeah, so I think what we were going to talk about first up quickly is NSXPO and that trip. So I think we just get back into that because I think what most people are waiting for is what's going on with Black Car. So we're going to make you wait just a minute.
Just a minute.
So the drive out to NSXPO to Phoenix, we've actually done that same drive before back in 2018? When we went to San Francisco.
Yeah. We drove all of the route that well, not all of the route, we drove 90% of the route that we drove this time, that we just kept going and then went into Southern California and up the coast to get to San Francisco area. I guess initially to get to Thunder Hill Raceway, which is further north in San Francisco, and then we backtracked to San Francisco for the social event that time. This time we only went to Phoenix, which was a first for me. Liz has been to the Phoenix area before. This was my first time in Phoenix proper.
Yeah, I've been there once, but it was for my sister's graduation, so I flew in, went to that, and was there for a weekend. But, you know, otherwise I hadn't really explored Phoenix very much, so this is definitely a bigger trip for me. And I completely agree, Epic, that we should start another channel that's Cars and Corkies. So.
Yeah.
It probably would get even more followers. And Curly, you can hold on to your car updates for just a minute. So so that was the first. So
Epic, if you're trying to stay on topic, you haven't hung out with us enough.
No.
It doesn't happen. But we're gonna stay the course for at least a few minutes in this video.
Yeah.
Then we'll be all over the place probably.
We'll probably still be all over the place anyway. And then I think, to quote you on many videos, let's stop before we start rambling, which is pretty much what we end up doing every time.
Every time.
So, while we're rambling, we went out to Expo, and overall, sorry, I have everything in the garage piled in my lap at this point.
I had it nicely laid out on the table.
So
now
nice.
it's like here
you can hold that. No, you hold that.
I can help you with some stuff here.
So I mean, realistically, like we said, that was a drive we'd done before. I think what we should just talk about now is the highlights.
Yeah, NSXPO highlights. So we'll go in order or chronological order. Obviously, getting there is half the fun. I think we always enjoy a good road trip. We were entertaining ourselves on the way out, radioing between the two cars. That was new for us. Having driven both the cars out. Our road trip back, of course, was a little bit more traditional for us, but that was entertaining. Liz, I think that was on the way out. You had
so milestones this trip. So on the way out, I rolled over. So this was my car's first trip to Expo, not my first trip, but my car's first. And we rolled over 150,000 miles on that one. So that was a cool milestone. It's a very pretty rollover for anybody who's never rolled over, like 100,000, any of those. It's very pretty to go
all the zeros.
Yeah. So, and then you also had a milestone.
Yeah, I had to get nerdy for this one, but it crossed my mind at some point because I was looking at the odometer because, of course, I didn't have Liz in the car to talk to, and I was just sitting there, winding the miles away in my loneliness. But now I was like, oh, I'm going to hit 3141593 miles, which is pie.
Yeah. So we celebrated pie with a slice of pie at a diner.
Yeah,
which was fun.
Whatever it was.
I have no idea what kind of pie it was.
Strawberry pie and
I have no idea. It was whatever pie they had in New Mexico. And
somewhere.
In the end, there was actually 3 prisons in that town. Fun fact.
Prison pie.
Curly does bring up a good point that we were going to talk about, which is we did have a comparison on our trip. We had a little bit of a competition of who had the best gas mileage.
Yeah.
Miles per gallon. So for me, the biggest thing I was saying is I thought that realistically my car obviously is half the miles. On top of that is that I have the stock wheels, or not stock wheels, but the stock size wheels and tires. And
they were technically a stock wheel on an NSX. They're just not year appropriate.
Yes, but I have cruise control.
Yeah, so rolling diameter and cruise control ended up winning by like 3/4 of a mile per gallon. You weren't even going to say
high level what your 3 thoughts were?
I was thinking first of all, I was following her most of the time because her car's paint is pristine and I have sticky tires. So it made the most sense. And I've got there's a replacement bumper cover for the black car. Okay, I'll sneak in one little like update teaser or whatever. There's a replacement bumper cover for the black car in the garage right now. Whenever we get it back, so we're like, okay,
you
whatever.
Just fly out there with it in your carry-on.
Yeah, I'll just carry that in.
Well, I think Richard's one of his thoughts as to why he thought he was going to win was because he thought that I would lose because of my lead foot.
Yeah, just overtaking people. She gives it all the beans all at once, and then I'm like, okay. So I was trying to like concentrate on hypermiling a little bit, but I'm running the like lower overall rolling diameter 17-inch wheel and tires and lower profile tire setup for track stuff.
But you can go back and watch the video to get more details. So I think
into the story, she won. So
I won. So I think the other thing we were going to talk about, so I'm trying to catch us up, is the actual. Okay, so we did have a couple things. So I was going to say, Jeremy, it's unfortunate we didn't get to see you going through Albuquerque. There will be a next time, and we will just make sure that people know where we're going. Also, and I'll just do a shameless plug here and say, we don't have any pugs, but
no, just corgis.
That we do have a Patreon now. So if you want to know where we're going, you can join the Patreon, and we will tell everybody where we're going in advance.
We're going to be further in advance over there than on YouTube because it's a smaller audience. We're not as worried about, people finding we're not a big enough deal to get mobbed yet or anything.
No.
But some OPSEC. But so anyway, back to Expo highlights here. So we've made it out there. We've rolled over mileage. We had a little bit of fun on the way out. We stopped at a detour in Oklahoma, which we're not going to talk about because that's a video forthcoming. And then did we do anything else on the way out? Oh, we drove through Holbrook.
Oh yeah.
Which is it's the town that has the Wigwam Motel, which is,
by the way, is still in operation.
Yeah, it's still a thing.
You can go stay in I don't believe, although it's in Arizona, and I don't believe any of the units have air conditioning.
If they did, it was window units at best.
No, there were no window units.
They're little teepee, individual separated teepee rooms. That the place is apparently still in business. There were a couple of other like classic Route 66 businesses or attractions kind of on that same strip there, but
and a lot of them that a lot of 66 things that we considered and then saw that they were not.
Yeah,
not
they'd be okay to like. They'd be
drive.
good. Yeah, they'd be good Instagram fodder for the Jeep crew, but maybe not in a sports car because you have to kind of off road to get to them a little bit. But
so I was just thinking the other thing we were going to talk about is our stats.
Yeah. So hang on, we're getting to stats. So we got.
They are the wigwams. By the way, Curly, are they're like concrete, probably. So they are just standard windows with like standard screen doors.
Yeah.
And then I mean you can. I think on Instagram we had some pictures on there, and then obviously in the video there's some, but yeah, they're just like standard. And I looked in the window. It's like a little bathroom, just a standard hotel. There's
one they were cleaning. There was nobody staying in there. She's not creeping on people.
No, they were not cleaning that one. But there was nobody staying in there, or at least nobody there currently. And even if there was, I would still creep on them.
Oh, fair enough. Well, you do you over there. Now, all right. So we arrived at Expo on the first evening, and I think we'll skip here and hit some highlights here real fast. So I think the check-in registration hadn't really it hadn't become a party yet. But we got to see some of the stuff, which we'll show you here in a minute.
Yeah, I mean, it's slow to pick up because a lot of the people, there's not as big of a crowd for the track.
Yeah.
So the track event is always the first 2 days.
Yeah, you've got like 30, 40 people at the track. You've got 140 cars at the event. 120 something cars at the event, which is probably 50% more people than that.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, so I mean, actually we had a really good turnout, and there's some amazing video and pictures. So as those come in, we'll definitely share some of that. But realistically, I think The big party and when everybody really starts showing up is the last day of the track event, so the second day, so that would be Thursday night.
Yeah, and as far as highlights, NSXPO highlights go, which we'll get into a little bit more efficient discussion here, so we can move on with it. But I think as highlights go, normally I'm always saying that the track event was a highlight, and while the Podium Club was a very fun track, I think I'm contractually obliged not to call the track event this year a highlight for me personally, for obvious reasons. However, the track is very fun. Would 100% go back there. Probably will 100% go back there.
I would love to go back there, especially when they maybe have some of the buildings or some of the shade or anything.
Yeah, they had awnings under construction while we were there, but they weren't quite done yet.
Yeah, because for anybody who doesn't know, the Podium Club at Atessa is actually like brand new. It is a massive,
again, track feature forthcoming that'll have all this, but it is a massive development.
Yeah.
And all they've got is the first, like the tarmac for phase 1 of the track and a big paddock area is kind of what they have done at the moment. And then they had some, like, their offices were in like temporary shipping container situations. But it was, again, like, it definitely is going to be a cool place to visit. It's kind of already a fun place to visit. You just don't want to go in the middle of the summer right now.
Oh.
But I think by the middle of next summer, I suspect they're going to have a lot more infrastructure in place, so it should be pretty tolerable.
I was just thinking, because we were talking about Albuquerque, and I was like, in the next few years there will be another one. But there will be another one sooner than that because, at some point we're going to have to drive the black car back. So we will probably see you sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
But yeah, so no, I think we went to the botanical gardens and it had like a cocktail hour.
Yeah, that was the welcome, sort of like welcome cocktail hour for the main social check-in area. That was pretty cool. It was outdoors.
With a mariachi band.
We always kind of raise an eyebrow at things like outdoors Arizona, but it was actually fine because it's desert weather. So once the sun wasn't in your line of sight anymore, it cools off by 10-15 degrees immediately.
And yeah, Curly, I think the best time to visit is like midwinter. I think that would be the way.
Yeah, they were.
Although they're more crowded in that area.
One of the guys who's an organizer is also like friends of ours, but they were sent out something the week after showing highs and like the high was 80 or something the week after, whereas the week we were there it was still like in the 90s, which is apparently for that time of year. Even Arizona is unseasonably warm, but you could push it later in the year. But the problem with pushing Expo later in the year is you start to exclude people from driving their cars like out of Canada because they may not be able to get back. And other northern climes.
So also welcome back, Linda. Thank you for coming all the way back over here. I think going back
and the mariachi band was great at the opening.
So. Yeah, and then the other thing is, if you don't know about Expo, so Friday we did scenic drive, so we went up to a country club up in the mountains and had lunch, and then we went over to something bridge, natural bridge. Tonto Natural Bridge.
Yeah. If you Google Tonto Natural Bridge, you'll get there eventually.
So it was super pretty from the top. I did not go to the bottom, but Richard did.
Yeah, I figured we were there, so I took one for the team and did the hike, which was, I guess it was overall, it was like a total...
I completely agree with you, Ty.
It was a total of a mile or total of 3/4 mile. It wasn't that long, but it was just, you went down a bunch of really steep switchbacks to get to this immense cavern that has a little pool, pond in the bottom of it, and it's open on both ends. And I guess you could have theoretically continued to hike all the way through it. Some people I watched some guy like slip off a rock and burn into the pond. And then I'm like, maybe not today. So I just went back up the way I came in. But...
I wore sandals. Yeah. I didn't realize there was any opportunity to hike, so I had worn
sandals. It was a car event. You expect driving, not hiking. I get it.
It's not just a car event, but it's a car event with like a very diverse group of people. I mean, in the end, the part of the hike that everybody was going on was very much just a walking path.
There was a super easy part that you could at least get to the top and see down and see the scale of this natural bridge / cavern. I guess it's technically a bridge because it goes all the way through, but...
So... I think, because we lost a bunch of time with our transition, I think we talk a bit about the stats, or we show some of the stuff that's balanced in my lap.
Yeah.
And then we talk about the stats. Either way.
So okay. So we did we'll finish it. We'll roll this all up real quick on the highlights. So we did the scenic drives day 1. Day 2 was unfortunately a bit abbreviated. It was intended to be a concours at Science of Speed, actually at the shop.
Yeah, no, which was neat.
With a bunch of vendor presentations. I always really enjoy listening to the vendor presentations. I think we got through about like 1 or 2, and then a big nasty rainstorm blew through, and sent everybody kind of like scrambling a little bit.
Which was fine until there was a prediction of a second storm coming through that they were expecting penny-size hail. So at that, they decided they didn't want to, total 150 NSXs or whatever. So we called it, and everybody went back to try to get spaces in the garage.
Which I think everybody was able to do. And I don't know that.
No hail ended up, but there was a potential, and so it was better.
The threat of stuff like that would have been bad news. Yeah. But that got kind of abbreviated, which is unfortunate because I think it was a really pretty cool setup that Chris and the gang had there at SOS to host us. We got to see their SEMA project. If you want to look that up, it's a full carbon fiber bodied NC1. It is drool inducing. But we got to see, some other pretty cool stuff there, and then then after that was the
final banquet,
the kind of ending banquet, awards, announcements, and so on. Which, as my engine nerd brain was super entertaining because I went down there a little bit early to take pictures that you may have seen in the vlog, or take video that you may have seen in the vlog, and they had a. Somehow, with the help, I think they said, of Kelly from Acura, whose last name I don't remember, but she's been kind of one of the people that's worked for the club over the years, and she's awesome. And she was able to arrange to have a bare frame. It was like a demonstration. I think what it was a demonstrator from when the NA2 cars came out, or the Targas maybe predating the NA2, but whenever they did the Targa, because it had sections that were strategically cut away to show the extra reinforcing that they had done to maintain rigidity and keep things set up. But it was just bare aluminum.
Yeah, no, that was neat just to see how much the car legit is aluminum. And Ty, I 100% agree with you. The NC1 was, I would, if they would let us buy it, I would 100% buy it, but they will not let anybody buy it.
Yeah,
but it did make me think about wrapping mine in some sort of more anime manga looking.
We're you guys get on the case here. We're like about 1 million subscribers short of being able to swing a full carbon bodied NC1, but.
So
that segueing from that though into
I was going to say the last thing you should say if you're going to talk about the banquet is the fact that it's going to be in Atlanta next year.
Yeah,
which is not going to be much of a trip for us. So we're already trying to decide what is our big road trip next year.
Yeah, we're going to do a big road trip
Atlanta,
somewhere.
Which is 3 hours max.
Yeah, we could forget something, get down there, and then just go back home and get it in an afternoon. So.
I was moving it over to our the swag that we got from the event, because there's always something every year.
Yeah.
The last few years we've actually, because we've always had name badges for the event, and Common Fibers, fantastic company, really love them. They made. I
can't reach them, but our years past were right there.
Our glasses are Common Fibers as well. However, Yeah, there you go. So they've made our badges every year, and this year, I guess there was some question of the size wasn't checked, not Common Fiber's fault, but anyway, they are massive this year. However, they're very pretty. So you can see they're complete.
Yeah.
They're very pretty.
So is it like Richard Head for scale?
Yeah. So we have a picture of a dollar bill for scale.
And critically, the schedule on the back is printed where you can lift it up like this, flip it over, and read it.
Yeah.
Instead of having to flip it upside down or do something like that. So that's one of those things where like if your event coordinators are really on point, it's the little things like that.
Yeah. Which I think this group was super on point. The other thing was, you could talk about this. I was going to try to open this.
Yeah, Linda, I didn't look at the, actually I don't know if it had one. I didn't look at the VIN on the, if I thought about it I should have, but I didn't look at the VIN on the bare frame they had their display to see if it was a, Targa, like 95 from the Targa introduction, or if it was, you know, because I think everybody kind of conflates those two, but like the 97 later cars, most of the NA2s are Targa. I think somebody just did the stats on there, and it's like, it's single digits or very, very, very low double digit NA2 coupe, not counting the Zanardis.
So don't nerd out too much. Why don't you just say the total number of miles that we did while I show the next thing?
Okay.
Yeah, the total number of actual driven miles.
Yeah, so our total trip out and back, as far as just, you know, distance on the map app, was 4,300 miles, almost on the dot.
Yeah.
However, the total NSX miles driven, in our case, was about 6,300 because we drove 2 out, 1 back. So
yeah.
I don't know. That could have been braggable. There were some people petitioning for us to win the furthest driven because we technically covered the most miles in NSXs as a couple, but that's okay. I'll give. I think who won it this year? Was that Ole from?
I think it was Ole. Yeah, he drove from Florida.
South Florida.
So then this is another thing they did. Hopefully, reflection. There we go. So I have an individual one, but basically they gave out like little cards, blank cards, so you can send them to people. You know, lucky for me, it's my car that's on there. And then in there also was a nice sticker. Mm-hmm. But this is what I was trying to unwrap. So one of the event organizers, his wife actually made soap for everyone. She made cookies too in the shape of NSXs. However, she made soap which
were delicious
and stamped. Let's see if I can actually do it.
The soap probably less delicious, but no less pretty.
So she stamped the NSX and stuff like that on it. So, but that was very, very cool for her to spend a bunch of time doing that. Now I'm just tossing stuff off my lap at this point.
Yeah, it's fine. Well, here we'll throw in some more. So winding it back a little bit to our fuel consumption challenge there. We used a total for the trip. We figured of about 275 gallons of gas.
Yeah.
For you.
I mean, I used a little bit less.
For those of you that don't speak Freedom units, that's a little over 1,000 liters.
Yeah.
At between, depending on the car, 22.7 and 23.5 mpg
it
average.
It is crafty, isn't it, Curly? I was going to say Science of Speed. I forgot about this. So the other thing was, so I did get a T-shirt from Science of Speed as well, but so this was actually their 20th anniversary. So they handed out pins. I don't know if it can maybe focus. It's backwards, so
it'll do its best, but it's
there. You go. So little pins, Science of Speed. That was really cool for them.
Yeah, we got lots of pins this year.
Oh yeah, we did get a lot of pins.
They're all very cool pins.
Do you want to show our pins?
Sure, let's show off the pins.
This would it's going to be reflecty, so we'll.
Yeah, sure. I'll unbag this one. Will you unbag that one?
So this was the event pin.
Which is the.
Sometimes it'll do it if I put my. That's a good question, Ty, and I actually forgot to do that math, but it was reasonable.
We're typically between 4 and 5 gallons. Very rarely. There was only a couple times we were over
$4 and $5 a gallon.
Sorry, $4 and $5 a gallon. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, there was only a couple times we were over 5 gallon.
Well, we didn't make it to California this time, so I remember last year that was everybody's sticker shock when we were having like our gas prices in California were super high.
Yeah, that was craziness. And then this was the other set of pens. These are the, like, apparently very desirable lean customs.
So they're two different pens.
They're two separate pens over the top of that logo. You can see there because they had the NC1, white NC1 on the bottom and a yellow presumably NA2 up top.
Yeah. So yeah, apparently they're very desirable because everybody who went to the event is getting just spammed on Instagram and everywhere, social media, about wanting to buy those pins.
$7.
So. Oh, geez. Yeah, no, we didn't go up to Reno.
Yeah, we didn't go up to Reno. We didn't have any, and no real long detours this time. Apex, good to meet you guys as well.
Yeah, temporarily, wah.
Yeah. Well, we were in the paddock the whole time, or on the grid the whole time, I guess, but we weren't on the track the whole time.
Yeah, I was gonna. So yeah, Epic. When we saw you last year, that was getting close to some of the highest prices in gas that we had up there in the Portland area. All right, you can unwrap that.
Well, let's just show you. It is a. We'll get a good angle on that. It's
a mouse pad from Science of Speed.
Yeah, that'll be a good one for the garage. I have a black one out there now that was just some leftover from. I probably stole from my last office that I worked in, but.
Good question. So Jeremy was asking if anybody normally brings a Zanardi. There was one this year.
On the track, no less.
On the track, yeah.
They said he trailered it down. He doesn't trust driving it on the road. In his words, he doesn't drive it on the road that much anymore. But he'll take it out of the track every now and again. He'll just trailer it out to the track, go have a blast, and then, presumably give it a good detailing, and then put it back in the garage. So. But I guess statistically that makes sense. I always tell people, somebody like, people that don't know, they're like, oh my gosh, you can't believe this. You put your car on the track. It's so dangerous. So it's like everybody's going the same direction. Yeah. Everybody's had their car looked at to make sure it was like technically okay to be out there. And by and large, especially as you get further in the hobby, the people you're out there with have some credentialing that says they're supposed to be there and they know what they're doing.
Well, and I think on top of that, you add the fact that, yeah, I think you're right, Linda. I think there were about 4 at this one, which is not normal. We don't normally have that many, but there were a lot this year. But I think the other thing that I've told people that were newer to the track is the fact that, like, when you're at Expo, it's also everybody who is there wants to bring their car home. No, there's no
nobody out there in some S box of a BMW, old BMW or something that's just
that's their track car, right? These are people who are wanting to also show off their car at the concourse on Saturday.
Everybody has the same stakes at that point.
So let's see, other stuff we got. Do you want to talk about this?
Sure, we got the official Acura manga, and including this is not. I'm not holding this backwards. It's backwards because that's how it's done. But the Chiaki's Journey marketing thing, which it's kind of a neat. It's something that I've appreciated them doing with the NC1, trying to even though you can't buy one anymore, I appreciate that they kind of put some effort into that, being kind of more culturally aware or culturally relevant or something. Yeah. But anyway, it's neat.
Yeah, which
I'm
if you
entertained with
haven't
it.
seen the car, no, it's super fun. And the car that they brought was basically in this theme.
Yeah, so they had done took an NC1 and then they wrapped it, and then they had an artist come and paint it to look as if it were being kind of animated in motion, which it's neat in person.
So here's your trivia: did they make the car before or after Alex's crash? The Zanardi.
It was before, because it was after his championships, but I think before his crash.
Yeah.
Because it was celebrating his was it the IndyCar championship, I think.
Don't do this, Curly. He's going to go off on that, so we're going to not talk about that.
Yeah, that's all right.
Here, I will say
that's my best guess.
One more piece of just random thing, just because it was entertaining to me. If you haven't tried this, they gave prickly pear cactus candy. Fantastic. It was actually very good. This is our last one.
Yeah.
I'll hide it and eat it.
Yeah, you probably better hide it. Otherwise, I'm going to eat it because it was actually pretty good.
No. Usually, Curly, they do normally bring some of the newer cars. This year, they didn't bring any of the Integras. But I didn't see any. Maybe, Linda, you may have seen some.
No, there wasn't.
Apex, you may have seen some.
I don't know if they were on obvious. They didn't have them at the
track.
track.
They didn't have them out of display.
And if they had any
because usually they bring some to the track, and this year they didn't.
I was trying to remember if they were at the one highlight we forgot. I was trying to remember if they were at the vault, if they had anything sitting around there. But I don't think they did.
Oh, that's really cool. So Linda was saying that her NSX is going to be on display at the Seattle International Auto Show. I don't think we're going to make it, but you'll have to send me pictures.
Yeah, Seattle.
That's really cool.
A little bit of we could kind of.
Well, Curly, Seattle may be a little bit of a drive.
A little bit of a drive this time of year, especially. You're getting into like hitting snow somewhere where you can't get around it.
And I guess not a fire hose.
I guess if we drove back through the southeast or southwest and then up the California coast, we'd probably be safe mostly.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't know. I'm down for a road trip.
Sure.
So.
And our last pieces of swag though, because we were going to have an easier time of this in the garage, but we're both wearing shirts.
Oh,
so this is mine is the track shirt from the Podium Club. It's a little, again, I'm backwards looking at my screen, a little Podium Club logo, has some of the sponsors.
And the back has the track map.
In the back, it's got a little I'm not going to try and turn around. We're tight space here.
If you want to hold that, and I'll attempt to.
Was a model the event shirt.
So.
Which is State 48.
This way. There we go. The camera's backwards. So yeah. So they did a really good job, I think, on the event shirts.
Liz with the money shot right there. Sorry.
There's our thumbnail.
That's the thumbnail.
Yeah. So but no, honestly, the shirts are super soft, I think is the other thing.
Yeah. The designs are cool. And
these are, I definitely, I have worn them again already.
Yeah.
And typically it takes a little bit for it to get back into rotation.
But yeah, definitely. And then our last piece of swag, which was actually not one that we were given as part of the event, but we were graciously gifted by one of our fellow automotive YouTube folks that we had bumped into down there, David and Elise from Drivers Therapy.
Yeah, so if you haven't checked them out, definitely do.
Apparently, I guess I had, we had talked to them online for probably years at this point.
Yeah.
And it never managed. Never managed to cross paths. We considered it in 2021, but I-70, which would have taken us past where they live, was closed because of a rock slide at the time. So we ended up having to go around, and it was going to be. Yeah. It didn't work out, but
unfortunately, we also didn't get to know them until after we had moved from Colorado. So.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and granted, they lived on the other side of the mountains from us, so it was.
No, but we had a lot of fun hanging out with them, and I think likely in the future you'll see some sort of collaboration with us and them. We had hoped to do it at Expo, but it didn't happen.
One of the silent auction items was this little pair of, thank you. It's a 1/43rd scale NSX police car and a picture of the actual NSX police car that they had in Japan for a while. David actually won these at the auction and then just gave them to me. So
you can see there you go.
Yeah. A little reflection there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was
it was
that was real cool of them, and I guess they were telling us they owed us a beer or something because I had given them a tip on some. I used to work for an insurance company, and of course that's always in my mind. And I gave them a tip on some drone insurance, and I guess they had kind of debated it, and then they ended up getting it, and a week later crashed their drone, so it saved them a ton of money. So I was like, okay.
No, it was a lot
my
of
random industry born paranoia for the win.
No, I was going to jump backwards, and I was telling, because Curly was saying he feels like there's somebody with a fire hose threatening me, and that's why I keep trying to move it along. I think more, A, it's a hook and not a fire hose. B, I think it's the fact that we took so long to get started. I don't want to lose people, and we want to do this again.
Yeah. That's gonna be my project next week. I can see is gonna be dragging a whole Ethernet cable, from this office down, making the physical connection so we can get real bandwidth in the garage.
Yeah. So no, the silent auction actually had a lot of. That's the PZ made me think of talking about the silent auction. It made me think of they also had a live auction, and Richard actually won us something in the live auction. So, do you want to say what it is, or do you want me to say what it is?
In my defense, I was left unsupervised.
Well, I was keeping track of who was winning the live auction, is what I was trying to keep track of. So, but I also, in my defense, every year I try to get you to bid on stuff, and you don't want to. So I was absolutely shocked.
Typically, what happens is a lot of the parts are stuff that is not at the top of the list, or hasn't been at the top of the list for the black car. The black car has been, it's been up until recently, it was in tip-top mechanical condition. So there weren't a whole lot of maintenance parts that I needed. And then a lot of the cosmetic parts that folks would offer, there were other cosmetic things that I needed to do, or other things that I needed to do to the car that were kind of taking precedent. So it just never, I wasn't big on the physical stuff at the silent or the live auction. I bid on a couple of things.
No, there were no engines.
No new engines, unfortunately. But one of the experiences are a different thing, and there was an opportunity to go and hang out with
Peter Cunningham and Real Time Racing.
Yeah, Real Time Racing at one of their events next year, where they are racing, they're campaigning in NSX GT3.
Yeah.
So
we get to go and take some friends with us.
Yeah, at a to be determined date, since some people are going to go and hang out at a race somewhere with some other cool people.
Yeah.
And
so, I mean, I looked at it. We're waiting to hear where all the final ones, so we can make a decision where and when we want to go and who all we're taking with us. And
you can expect to follow along. You'll come along with us either way, because we're probably going to vlog our way through it.
Probably. Yeah, we will vlog our way through it, especially looking at where all the different tracks are. It could be interesting. Might be another road trip in our future. Were there any other, I was trying to think, any other factoids that we had, but I think
we covered most of it, if I remember correctly here. We had we did the gas, we had, let's see, we were a total of 10 days on the road.
Yeah.
We had through 6 different states. None of the states were new to us this time, or new to any of the cars this time. I did 36 miles, 36 track miles. Yeah. That was one day. It was a weird day at the track. Normally, I looked at this. It's normally over the course of a random weekend. I just looked back on my data logger. Track weekend for me is usually 100 or more miles. But this time, first session I did the whole session. Did a full flag to flag in the first session. The second session, I went out and immediately cracked a brake rotor after 3 turns. Recognized it, came in, and spent the rest of that session changing the rotor. I did have spares. Then the next session we were going to have got cut short because the lunchtime photo op parade lap cat herding ran over time, which is typical. Yeah. So
typical, but typically
which is funny. It's kind of one of these things where it's just like you think back and you're like, where did where was this? What butterfly flapped its wings or something? Because I would normally run the last session of a day at a track.
Just like if you go skiing, you never go the last.
Nothing good ever happens in the last session. You've gone as fast as you're going to go. The car is as heat soaked as it's going to be and as fatigued as it's going to be, and you are as fatigued as you're going to be.
I was as fatigued, and so I assumed you weren't going out. I was so hot by that point.
But I was like, no. It's like I want to go out and at least finish learning the track and get up to a little bit of speed, so then the next morning I could do a couple of more enthusiastic sessions when it was cooler. But anyway.
Yeah. So I was just going to say, Linda, the sake actually, so I would keep waiting on that and maybe poke him and see if you can get an invitation. So actually Hirofumi, who brought that sake, brought another bottle that he shared with the NSX Club board and the organizing committee the night before. And so that was just kind of a small little thing that they did. But it was really cool. I'll see if I can get a picture. Well, it's not going to be on here. But
so context for everybody else, Hirofumi-san is the president of NSX. He's the president of NSX Club of Japan.
Yes. And he comes most years.
Yeah.
And so he brought a couple bottles of sake, and they had the label specially printed with the logo for the event. And so he shared the first bottle with us, and then the other one went to auction.
Mm-hmm.
So So yeah, I would keep bothering Jerry and seeing if you can get some of that sake, because it was good. So the only thing I will make us do this fact before we can move on to the thing that I know most people are wanting to know about, which is the black car. Last year you had done the math and talked about how far we drove, and talked about like how far that was in Australia and the UK. And stuff like that. So I tried to do that math this year, and then we didn't get to it. So I decided I would just go ahead and do it anyway. So if the same amount of miles that we did this year for the whole event would basically be going from the southern tip of Norway all the way up to the northern, all the way back down the other coast. So basically lapping Norway twice.
So of our friends from Norway that weren't able to make it this year.
Yeah.
If
so
you guys
just do that.
Yeah, if you guys want a taste of what it was like, then just you should probably hurry, because I imagine it's going to start snowing. If it hasn't already snowed up north, it's probably about to. So.
Listen, Ty, I am happy to bring the corgis in. If you haven't met our corgis are named Spätzle and Schnitzel. And
if you speak actual German, yes, I know it's normally pronounced Spätzle, but we had to anglicize it because otherwise nobody would get it right. So it's Spätzle and Schnitzel.
Yeah. And then the other part was the other thing I spent lots of time doing is mapping all around, because I was like different countries. So Iceland, the same amount of miles, even though Iceland looks big, literally 4 times around the entire coast of Iceland. So I thought that was interesting. To me, that was interesting.
So any Icelanders out there, if you want to know how long our trip was, just go and lap your entire country 4 times.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
There's a lot of places you can't drive. I had no idea.
Well, basically the whole thing's like it's like a volcano, right? I don't know.
Listen, Curly, it's going to happen. We will be in Norway.
Yeah, that's on the list. I'm actually we're on a like first name basis with the people who run the Arctic Circle Raceway.
So it's happening. So we will be talking to you at some point, Curly, because we want to take the cars with us. So, but you did live in Iceland. That's interesting. So I lived in Norway. So and I had one of my good friends when I lived in Norway was from Reykjavik. So.
And it's probably one of the coolest airports we've flown through. That's about all of my experience in Iceland has been.
The airport, yeah, was very pretty. Well, don't hate me. The like Icelandic inspired food they gave us on the plane was way better than average on the way in. Oh, it was the the yogurt.
I don't remember.
Skier.
Yeah.
SKYR something. Skyr. I don't know. Ty,
okay,
you're going to have to help us. I know it's something to that effect. But yeah, it was, yeah. I mean, we keep talking about it. We want to go back to Iceland, or we want to actually go to Iceland at some point.
Do an extra long layover there.
Well, for a while
maybe when we ship the car to Europe or to Norway or whatever, we just. When we go to meet it, we just take a little extra time because it's going to be on a boat probably. We can't afford to fly it, let's be honest.
That's
Again,
true.
We're at least 100,000 subscribers short of being able to fly it. So
well, I think 2 things left.
Mm-hmm.
1, I'm going to do another shameless plug. 2, yes, there you go. Yes, so skier. So I wasn't too far off.
Yeah.
Thank you, both PZ and Ty. I wasn't absolutely too far off, but 2 things. So 1, I'm gonna do another shameless plug. 2, I can grab the corgis because they are 100% pouting outside of the door because I refuse to let them in. And 3, we need to get an update about the car.
Yeah. So, I don't know what order you want.
Well, you can't give the car update first because then
Yeah, but if we let the corgis in, we're never getting rid of them.
That's true. So the corgis will be last.
Yeah.
No, the shameless plug I will do one more time is the fact that now that we are poor broken NSX owners, and Richard's NSX winning the saddest NSX in the world
by default.
So we we had been toying with the idea of starting with Patreon, and we felt like this was as good a time as any. So if you have any interest, we did start a Patreon. We do have the lowest tier is $3, and we're trying to make sure that there's something there for everybody at every tier. But we also try to make it reasonable.
And it's not and it's not complete shameless being goobers either. It is we end up with so much extra stuff from filming. We end up with all us screwing it up 8 times and laughing at each other. Or
there's a really good video somewhere in New Mexico with me just cussing my way through one of them until my camera overheated and shut down. And
stuff we can't put on YouTube.
Yeah.
That we would we're like where can we put that it's not going to be it's not going to demonetize us somewhere.
Well, but
it's going to not that all of it is.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. We both can get kind of salty at times, but
I think that's one of the tier descriptions. So.
Yeah, like outtakes and behind the scenes stuff, as well as just other random, still are all generally car related stuff that we get into.
Well, but I think the other part of it is for what we really want to do with that community and Patreon in general is also just the fact of like building it up so that people that are there can if we have ideas and like, hey, we're thinking about starting to do this, we can kind of talk it through there, and that group kind of can help us build things a little bit more. But also, then we will.
That's what we're going to call it, Curly. Is only Radiator fans. Yeah. We had joked around about doing an OnlyFans for the cars and just have a bunch of like undercarriage exhaust, with the we don't have one that has the removable top, but we would get one just to pull the target top off and go borrow somebody's NSX to pull the target top off, and so it'd be a bunch of like, we'll leave it there. You get the idea for the sake of not torpedoing ourselves in the YouTube algorithm here. But.
So anyway, So anyway, that is kind of what we want to do with that, and the idea is too that some of those groups we would do things like you would know what tracks we're going to quarterly, so that way maybe you can join us.
Yeah.
So enough shameless plugging.
Yep, enough shameless plugging. So.
Now let's, drum roll. Let's talk about
why we need money. No,
yes, let's talk about why we need money. No. I'll shake my
just for the record, it's going to happen either way.
Exactly, Epic.
But for the black car, we've had some further discussions with the team at Science of Speed, and again, we don't have big news yet as far as we are going to do X, Y, or Z. That's a decisioning process, though, that we are going to bring you along on, because we've actually been talking to experts for various options that or various avenues we could take with the car. But the end of the story is, it's probably going to need a rebuild. I mean, Chris was saying based on their, they haven't done a full teardown yet, but based on what they're seeing so far, he was saying if you put it on a scale of 1 to 10, as far 1 being caught it at the absolute earliest stage, there's like a little scuff in a bearing, and they're going to be able to just swap the bearing out and we'll be good to go. With 10 being like a rod through the block, we're probably right in the middle. So we're like that like 4 to 6 range.
I mean, we have a lot of discussions and once we know more, we'll have more decisions. I think it's clear we are going to have to either rebuild or replace.
Yeah.
That is clear. However, what we're doing will be determined by all of that.
Yeah, and we have a little bit left, or we don't have all the intelligence we quite yet need to make a firm call on that.
That's exactly, Curly. 10 being there's a new window.
Yeah, exactly. That's 10 being I have a very expensive coffee table now.
I mean, as long as you leave a QWERTY shelf underneath that coffee table, we'd be fine.
Right, but that's kind of the update we have on the black car as far as where it's currently and where we go with it from there.
Yeah, it will be back.
Yeah,
that is not a question.
No, it's not an if, not an if, but more of a when and a how, and
And this is when Sarah McLachlan starts
what's
playing.
it going to sound like?
Helping broken NSXs.
This poor NSX.
Yeah. For just a few dollars a month, you can help this NSX come home.
Every day it's away from its owners is a day that it's not on the racetrack.
So, but no, I think overall, you know, obviously the car's in good hands. I think Science Speed's been super helpful, and we've worked with a lot of people who already that sourcing parts and trying to see just in case once we decide. And like Richard said, there will be yes, J does fit in there, so does K. So that means that you will
so does apparently an LS if you do enough barn door engineering. There was no kidding, a car at the Science of Speed at the concourse. The guy's been working on the project there for like 15 years, but he legitimately now has an LS motor mounted longitudinally in what mostly used to be and kind of still resembles an NSX. But yeah, that was, you're re-engineering the whole car at that point.
So, to answer your question, we will have, like Richard said, we'll bring you along for all of that. So there will be some sort of, probably some highlight video of some sort for all of our options, like the K-swap, the J-swap, the, you know,
and then
rebuild, of that.
Yeah, rebuild, how spicy.
Yeah.
You know, so we'll carry you through that.
Curly says super spicy. This has been his vote the whole time. So.
Yeah, but probably yeah. So the one thing I can probably rule out is an LS. Probably not gonna be able to fit an LS. Although somebody told me there was.
Now you just like shot Jeremy.
I know. I know. Sorry, Jeremy.
So sad.
Actually, no, Jeremy. That's not completely true because somebody told me that there was a transverse. Some LS motor was or LS or LT motor was actually transverse mounted for one of the sedans or something. So that might, who knows?
An NC1 swap.
Yeah, NC1 swap, right.
So I think that is probably all we have, other than the corgis.
Yeah.
So you can tell people more things while I move this and get.
Let's see. I'll scroll back up through here and see if we have any other commentary or questions we didn't answer. Let's see. Let's see. I think we got everything about. Okay, thanks. Okay, cool. I was like, is it Impala or something? Come here, Spades. Come here. No, come here. Come here. There we go. All right.
Let's see. Maybe I can come in without knocking everything over.
There we go. Spades, here. We're freaking out, man. Yeah. So.
Here's Schnitzel. There we go. There's Schnitzel.
Yeah.
And his tail.
Yeah.
He's a big boy. He's a chunky boy.
Then we have.
He was also freaking out for whatever reason.
Spatzel here, who is a drama llama.
Yes.
She doesn't like her brother is in too close proximity right now. It's traditional, like if you're an older brother or sorry, younger brother or older sister, and you understand
there's no question mark, Ty. It is Liz's car. I am the one who bought it. My name's on it. I've done all the work on it. So for everybody who keeps calling it Richard's replacement car, it is not.
No, it is not. That is not a backup car.
He has driven it once when we bought it because I knew he could tell if there was any issues faster than I could. So yes, it is my car. I replaced all the hoses. I've done literally all the work to it.
I consulted on that car, and that's about it. She won't let me touch it otherwise. But
yeah. Listen, I'm happy to talk to her, Jeremy.
The biggest drama.
Okay, I'm going to put this one down because he is, yes, Curly, he is a chonker. You can see his giant belly. But you also, Curly, know exactly why he is because he is obsessed with Cheetos. No. Curly has now been banned from the channel.
All right.
No, so what's the plan for mine? So yeah, I did update the exhaust before we went to Expo, and then realistically, I don't know what else yet, but one thing I have been talking about since I got it was wrapping it. Right now, what I had been considering was what is actually the is an OEM color. It was only available in Japan, and it's actually a metallic lime green. And so, yeah, so it's really pretty color. But yeah, so there will be, that's one of the videos. Stop, get down, stop licking me. That's anyway, so that is something that we do plan on.
Dear YouTube overlords, she was talking about a dog.
Yeah, I was about to say, Linda, I was waiting for you to say something. So Linda and her husband also have 2 NSXs, so she just got her own this year as well, about the same time I picked up mine. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, so I've been talking about wrapping it. We'll see. But yeah.
Yeah, the short version there is Japan got all the cool stuff. Her car came with a big coffee table book by Brian Long that's apparently semi-unobtainium these days.
Well, not just...
But it has all... It goes through in there and it lists, like, every year the options that you could have from the factory and how they change.
Hi, Eric. Welcome.
Hey. And including all the, like, colors and options we didn't get.
Yeah.
There was a whole, like...
this is how Spacewell knocks everything over.
Yeah, a whole, like, I guess the Porsche equivalent would be, like, paint to sample or, you know, like Lamborghini ad personam or something like that. But there was a whole customization catalog that you could get in the Japanese market that was maybe nowhere else, or at the very least we didn't get it in the States.
Yeah.
But
so
among those were that metallic lime green.
Yeah.
And then several other colors that were very entertaining.
So I think the last thing we said we were going to talk about actually was what's up next for the channel and
yes, Jeremy, that color of green.
Yeah. So that's the color I've really been thinking about. You know, green has always been my color, so we'll see. Although my first car was a 1986 300ZX, which was a very similar red. So I have to say, walking out to the garage and seeing the pop-ups, it is a little nostalgic. So, and Ty, your question or your comment about track days, you know, Lap of the World featuring Liz, it's potential. It is. I'm not going to say one way or the other if that is a plan or not.
Yeah. No.
So, but yeah, so we do have a lot of. I think every year when we go to Expo, we have a lot of time in the car and we get to, you know, really decide what we want to do for the channel. And I think this year we did a much better job at keeping track of all of those things. And so we already have a huge list of things that we want to do and a schedule, and we're going to do some shorts, and we're going to do
so go back and pick up and do some track trivia short series that Liz is producing those and starring in them.
Yeah. And then we're going to do a bunch of others. So we may bring back Track of the Week. So yeah, we've got some really fun things coming up on the channel, and maybe even a track or two left this year.
Yeah, with TBD on that, we're looking for events, and actually I need to email one track in particular that's actually fairly close to here, to see if they're doing any full-size car events before the end of the year. But yeah, TBD on that. Give the my actual backup car some exercise on the track, and
yeah, well, I think that is the other thing. I'm really enjoying everybody saying what their first cars were.
No, I was reading these too.
Yeah, but what I was going to say is, I think that's the other thing that a lot of people don't think about is, you know, when we bought the Gallardo, that was the whole idea, is it was going to be like the backup track car and that sort of thing. It has done autocross, but it has never actually gone to the track. So, you know, this may just call his hand on having a backup car.
Yeah, it's kind of, it's like, okay, now it's real. You know, I thought I was done, like, okay, I did a whole big maintenance cycle on the black car at the beginning of 2021 that, you know, barring other shenanigans, should have had the car good to go for, 10 years of not having to do a whole lot that was going to have it down for a long time, and then now shenanigans. So, yeah, we'll see on that, but
yeah, Epic. I'm with you, but I would still leave the black top. The top would still stay black. I don't know. I go back and forth literally every day.
Yeah, the two-tone is classic NSX, and I try not to all I've been doing is over here biting my tongue really and trying not to project any of my own taste on her because it's her car. But yeah, no. So let's see here. First cars, we got some good ones in here. 97 Integra, that's solid. Honda fam.
I feel like Ty that she's just been waiting for her turn. The yellow car is just like
240.
Let's do this.
240 SX. My best friend has a KA24 monstrosity of a 240 that he's built for track, and he's actually shockingly not a drift missile. He built it mainly with track and autocross in mind, but it is quick. It's as quick as on equal tires. It's been pretty much as quick as the black car, my black NSX, on most of the tracks we've been to. But
currently, you're just. I know where you live.
And then.
So 88 Prelude. Yeah, I appreciate the that at the time it resembled an NSX. Yeah.
Preludes are neat.
Yeah. So I have to say, like, I think back to like I said, my first car was the 86Z, and it's interesting thinking about it because when I was thinking back now, I felt just as cool as I do driving my own NSX now, because I also grew up in a town that everybody had like trucks. And so this was like a little sports car, and it was cool. And
Oklahoma.
When you opened the door, it would actually talk to you.
Oh yeah.
So it was like right door ajar, and I just thought that was so cool, so modern.
Space age in the 80s, basically. But
I wasn't driving my car in the 80s, for the record, but. Let's see. So 92 Integra. Just ignore Curly. Don't listen to him.
So Ty's over here looking to get his. That's an interesting one. So I had the enemy at the time. Basically, if you're looking at like a 92 Integra GSR, I had a 91 MR2 Turbo, which those cars on paper and in reality are very close performance-wise. I think the MR2 had it in a straight line, but the Integra handled better, weighed less. So that was my first car. I survived that car.
Oh, was it? I think somebody last time you said that was like, did your parents hate you?
No, that was one of my VinWiki car stories appearances. Was like I survived an MR2 Turbo as my first car, and had some interesting stories about discovering snap oversteer and coming to terms with that.
And no, Curly, it did not have the weird auto seat belts. I actually don't like those auto seat belts very much, and my car did not have them. It also was it was a two-seater, so it did not have a back seat at all, so it wasn't the 2+2. But it didn't stop me and my friends from pretending it was, and they would sit in the hatchback with their heads down, making it look like there was a back seat.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, this all checks out.
Listen, it's statute of limitations.
They all survived, as far as we know.
Yeah.
So they survived those in.
That's fine. That's up to them after that. They got out of my car. So.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I think that's everything, unless people actually have questions or comments or thoughts or
any last questions. Speak now. We're
no
over
feedback.
We're over an hour on the stream, so we're probably going to call it here soon.
But yeah, and if anybody has any questions, please do still speak up. But I was going to say I think we really appreciate everybody sticking through our technical difficulties. I promise it'll be better next time. And B, just coming in general. I think it is, we appreciate everybody who followed along with our trip and who's just been part of the channel. Yeah. But coming here and hanging out with us for the live stream has been a lot of fun.
Been a ton of fun talking to everybody and seeing some of the questions and just the commentary that's come up here with lunch tray handbrake slides. That's my biggest. MR2, amazing first car and amazing autocross car later, and nearly as reliable as the NSX. It was a clown car for stuff. You could so much stuff in it, but you could not do a handbrake turn. I'm lucky I ever met a girl with the crippling inability to do.
Technically, you met me before the car. I just came back after you got rid of it.
Crippling inability to do a handbrake turn. That was really the downfall there. But I blame the MR2 for being single through high school, but.
So, but no, I think it was a lot of fun, and I think next time we will do another live stream, and next time we will have one of two things: either A, we will have some beers just to hang out, or B, we may have some champagne if we can hit 5,000 subscribers. So we're getting close. I'm just saying. So, and then I'll just keep driving mine, and maybe we'll hit 200 and have more. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll figure something out. But
so anyway, well, I think we call it.
Yeah, awesome. We do thank you all for joining us and chatting along and supporting our shenanigans with your views and commentary and in many cases friendship. So
now I just appreciate the fact that everybody is on your that the best way to a woman's heart is proper handbrake slides.
Well, this is Top Gear fact.
Yes.
This is Clarkson have bestowed upon us the handbrake turn.
I just appreciate that it has taken off though. Yeah. So appreciate everybody hanging out, and we hope you'll join us next time. And like I said, next time it will be much smoother.
Totally, probably.
And we will probably ramble just as much.
Yeah.
But I'll make Richard drink one beer before, and then have another one, and then you get really like chill fun Richard. So.
As opposed to boring Eeyore Richard.
Exactly.
Which is most of the time.